If I were to take all of my Uber passengers and categorize them into two categories, I think there are two categories. Let me get into it. Hi, my name is Levi, and I'm an Uber driver. This is the Daily Drive. Now, if you're a passenger, this is kind of just a very broad way to kind of categorize two types of Uber passengers, but we can probably categorize all humans into these two categories. Let me start with this story. Today, I went to go play golf with my 14-year-old son, and we had a good time. We were going to play 9 holes. We're out in this cow pasture out in the middle of nowhere. It was just the two of us walking. It was great. When we got to the 6th or 7th hole, right around there, the two of us walking, we caught up with these 3 teenage boys in a golf cart. And they were just really slow. If you're not a golfer, another way to explain it would be this. They're like people driving in the left-hand lane really slow. You know, the speed limit's 70 and they're doing 55 and they're blocking traffic. And maybe 2 of them got together and one in the left lane, one in the right lane. One's not passing the other and they're just backing up traffic. And they're not paying attention to the people around them. Those 3 teenage boys didn't think about my son and me behind them. Just they weren't paying attention. So the 2 types of Uber passengers I have, if I were to kind of give them these names, one would be a transactional customer. They ordered a car and they're going to get from point A to point B. That's not bad, right? That's not bad. The other type of Uber passenger would be an empathetic Uber passenger. Now, both can be mean, both could be nice, both could be, and one could smell bad. We're just talking about a transactional person and an empathetic person. Let me explain to you this way. The transactional Uber passenger tends to be a person that doesn't think about me as the driver. Now, I'm not the main character of the story, especially in their life. And so, again, the Uber is to get from point A to point B. So there's nothing illogical about thinking like that. But they do things that kind of dismiss me as a human. I'll give you some examples. If I have 4 passengers in my car, the transactional person tends to do something like this. They'll say something like, they'll go to their buddy, "Hey, why is the Uber driver doing this? Or why is the Uber driver taking this route?" As if I can't hear them. Right? It's like they're talking about me in my car, in my personal space, as if I can't hear them. They're talking about me. It's like it's indifferent to my existence. Some other things that person might do would be they ordered an Uber and it took 5 minutes to find a car. And then it took 5 or 10 minutes for me, the driver, to show up. And I show up and they're like, "Good. Now I've got 7 minutes until I have to get out there." So it's like they ordered a car, but they're going to take all that time that they think is available to them, what they might think is grace time. Well, that's just inconsiderate of me as the driver, if that makes sense. They think I can just sit out on the road. And especially that happens like on a busy street. If you're an Uber driver, you know what I mean? It's like a one-way street. There's no place to stop the car without blocking traffic. And if you leave that spot, the timer stops. You have to go around the block again. You might have to cancel. So it's like that person, the transactional person, is just not paying attention. They don't care. It's about that. The thing is about them. Now, the passengers that I really, really love to take are the empathetic ones. That would be like the transactional person would be like the lawyer, the business person. You know, they wear like a collared shirt with a Patagonia vest, that kind of person. And then you got over here, the empathetic person. They're like the art student and they're the writer, the musician. And that person is empathetic. They are considerate in thinking of me. Now, again, it's not about me, but they are thinking of me. They order the car, and these are the type of people that tend to be outside waiting for me as I'm pulling up. They get in the car and like, oh, it's like they're the type of people that get in my car and they'll say something like, "How's your night going?" They're paying attention. Where are you from? They're trying to engage and they're trying to observe. And this is why it matters in all of life. Again, I'm very transactional in a lot of the things that I do. I'll be honest with you. If I go into a McDonald's and order some sort of like hamburger, I'm going to use the kiosk over going to the register. If I never talk to a McDonald's worker ever again, I'm cool with it. So I'm trying to be judgmental, but I do want to explain from my perspective what it might feel like. The empathetic person considers me. And I think that's where it breaks down is that they're considerate. Because, yeah, I do get paid to work for people. I mean, you ordered a car and I want to make sure my car is clean and I want to get you safe and promptly to your destination. But I'm not a robot. I'm not a robot. I'm a human. Soon, we're going to have robot cars everywhere. And soon, if you're a transactional person and you don't care about humans at all, you won't have to deal with a human ever again. There'll be robot nurses and robot, restaurant people. You could go the rest of your life and never talk to a human again. But the empathetic people, and the reason why I'm saying maybe an artist is because that's how they make good art. They're paying attention. They're considerate. It's probably unfair. Again, I spend a lot of my time as a transactional person. I really do. So I don't think they're evil, horrible people. And I don't want to make it sound like that. They're focused on their thing and their thing alone. Where the empathetic person is observational. They're considerate. It's not just about them. And that's the person I want to be in my life. If again, I want to go to the kiosk at McDonald's, but when I go to the register and I order and I looked at the young man there behind the counter and I say, "Hey, John, how's your day going?" It's just a human connection. And I think that's why I say this person's an artist. This person's the business person, the lawyer. This person's the artist. The artists, that's why they make good art. See, to them, this person's over here is about a transaction. They got to get from the bar to their house or whatever. I get that. I totally get that. But this person getting from the bar to their house, it's a journey. It's a journey. And they're on that journey. And all of a sudden, the two of us are in the car together. And to them, it's an experience. And if I were to give you my best guess, this person's a tipper and this person doesn't tip. And that's not true all the time. Again, we can always find cases where it isn't true. But if I were to put my money down and say, "Levi, let's bet $10, who's going to tip you?" The empathetic, considerate person or the transactional person, the person that, gets in the car and they say, "Hey, I gotta jump on a call. Can you turn your radio down?" And, they'll FaceTime somebody and it'll be loud and I have to turn everything down so they can talk. And that's, we might say they're rude, but it's not that they're rude. They paid for a car, but they're just not considerate. And maybe it is rude. I don't know. Because I've had great experiences with all passengers at the end of the day, and I want to serve. I do want to serve. I know my job. I know my role. Maybe I think it's about the respect behind it. Does that make any sense to you guys? And it's probably too broad, but I've been thinking a lot about this. I've been thinking a lot about this human connection with the rise of artificial intelligence and chatbots and robotic cars. I know my days are numbered as an Uber driver. I do know it. But it's such a special thing, this thing where humans can be together, especially strangers, and just connect even for a 5-minute brief moment. You get in my personal car. You're in the car where me and my wife and my children sit. It's my personal space, and I'm opening it up to you. Yeah, you're paying for it, but I'm opening it up to you. And I think just that empathetic person, like, "Hey, how's your day going? How are you doing tonight? You making good money? Where are you from? That person that just wants to go for the journey, it makes me feel better than the person that sees me as just a robot. I could be anybody. I'm nobody. In fact, they'll prefer that there's a robot. So I feel if I were in my 20s, I'm 90% over here. And as I get older and as I realize the value of being around other humans, I'm like 80, 90% over here. Does that resonate with you? I hate trying to put people in these boxes because it depends on the situation too, right? If they're going from appointment to appointment, they're probably very transactional. Whereas if they're in town on vacation, the business person might be empathetic. So it's not, I think we can swap between these places depending on our moment in life. And that's important for us as Uber drivers. I've talked about this before, the idea of reading the room. I know if I'm picking somebody up, you know, let's say at, a downtown location and they're going from office to office, I get it. Hey, that's a transaction and I'm willing to find a way to make sure that ride is exactly meets your needs. But I'm just saying what I prefer. What do I prefer? Who do I seek out? I seek out that empathetic art student, the musician. That's what I really want. I want that person that's like that. And sometimes it's like the older, maybe the grandmother that's just going to her medical appointment. She's pretty empathetic. And yeah. Oh, well, I tell you what, it matters a lot to me. You matter a lot to me. And whether you're a driver or a passenger, I think that what Uber life is, the rideshare, being a Lyft driver, that gig economy, I think it really matters. So, yeah, that's what this is all about. Hey, for my fellow drivers, for 2025, I want you to drive your way. I really, truly do. I want you to be safe. And passengers, I want you to be safe, healthy, and happy. Make as much money as you possibly can and enjoy the ride. My name is Levi. This is The Daily Drive. Thank you so much. Bye.